In this section, we are going to go over some of the more common HTML elements that you will encounter. So first thing that we need to do is go into Phoenix Code. And once we're there, if we don't have our project already loaded, we could find it in our recent projects over here, or go to open folder and go and find our project, HTML tutorial, hit select folder, and then our files should load on the side. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a cheat sheet inside of index.html. We'll use the about page and the contact page to show how a navigation component can be utilized. So starting off in index.html, I need my boilerplate code. So I'm going to start off with doctype HTML, follow that up with an HTML element. Inside my HTML element, I will add in head and body. Inside the head, the only thing that I'm going to put in there right now is a title tag and call this my first site. And for the body tag, the first thing that I'm going to put in is an H1 that says cheat sheet. Let's refresh over here in our preview and we can see that the H1 is on our webpage. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy and paste this code over to about and contact. And the only thing that I want to change over here is the H1. So I'm going to say about us inside of this H1 over here. And inside the contact page for the H1, I'm going to write in contact. Save that, save that. So to start us off, what we're going to do is we're going to have an H2 that's going to list out each of the sections that we're going to be building out here. So the first one that we're going to be discussing is text. Inside the text, let's repeat this pattern of creating an H1, and I could put in the words heading 1, and I'm going to repeat this a few times and change the tags from H1 to H2, then H3, H4, H5, and H6. I'm also going to change the text inside. Inside of HTML, we have 6 headings that we can use. H1 is typically used to title a page, while H2 through H6 are meant to be subtitles. As you can see, the higher the number goes, the smaller the text gets. And the idea behind this is these numbers represent prioritization, where H1 is top priority, followed by H2, which is less priority, H3, less priority than that, going all the way down to our H6. After that, we could create a paragraph. A paragraph is used to contain the main text within our web page. If I want another paragraph, all I need to do is create another p tag. So now my web page has 2 paragraphs. In between these 2 paragraphs, I'm going to use another element that we'll see, which is the block quote. The block quote is meant to take some text and emphasize it within our web page. So as our page stands now, we have the title of the page, which is cheat sheet. Then we have a subheading, an H2, that identifies what's inside the section. We're talking about text here. And then we have a few examples of text elements that we will be using, starting from heading 1 down to heading 6. Then we have a paragraph, a block quote, and then another paragraph. I'm going to continue building on the top of the page, and then when we're done with reviewing this code, then I'll bring it down to the bottom. Another thing that I want to talk about are special characters. There are certain special characters that you can find on your keyboard and some that you would have to do a little bit more digging in order to find them. For displaying special characters on your website, the correct syntax for doing that starts off with an ampersand followed by a semicolon. As you can see, ampersand is showing up fine inside of this preview, but there are issues with the ampersand displaying as random characters when we are talking about designed emails or older browsers. So the correct way to display an ampersand is to start off with this ampersand symbol, followed by this semicolon, and then inside you put a little bit of code, and that will indicate which symbol you want to generate on your web page. For ampersand, it's amp. And just to show you a few more, we have ampersand copy, for example, which will generate a copyright symbol, ampersand reg, which will generate a registration mark, and ampersand trade, which will generate a trademark symbol. Another example that we have over here is the multiplication symbol, ampersand times semicolon. And that will generate a true multiplication symbol, which is very different than lowercase x, as you can see here. Now that we're done with that, I'm going to cut this and place this on the bottom of our page, like so. The next thing that I want to discuss are text formatting elements. So I'm going to come over here, right under the opening body tag, create a paragraph. And inside of this paragraph, I'm going to bring in some text. What we're seeing are a bunch of elements that can be used to style your font. For example, we have the B tag, which will allow your text to be bold. We have the I tag, which will italicize. We have the U tag, which will create an underline for your text. If you use delete, you will create a strike through. We also have sub and sub for superscript and subscript. And that makes your font a little bit smaller and either raises it up or brings it down a little bit below the baseline. In here, I'm also showing the use of a break tag. The break tag allows you to create a new line while you're still inside the same paragraph. In text editing, this is known as a soft return as opposed to a hard return. A hard return is what you do when you're creating one paragraph element and then you use another paragraph element. Meanwhile, the break tag allows you to just create a new line while you are still inside of the same paragraph. So you can see over here that I have the text. You can add a line break using a break tag, and then I have BR. And over here inside of our preview, we can see that right after the word tag, the text doesn't continue flowing with the rest of the text above it. It creates a line break and then the sentence continues. So now let's bring this lower down into the page. So at this point, our page has page title, cheat sheet, then the section that we are discussing here, which is inside of an H2 called text. Then we have samples of all of our headings. We have some paragraphs. We have an example of a bunch of special characters, and we have an example of some of the more common text formatting elements. At this point, I want to introduce an HR element, which will create a horizontal rule, and this will allow us to further cut up the sections of our document.